Some truths aren't spoken. They're felt, in silence, in stillness, in the spaces where language fails. This is not the story of a janitor. Or a billionaire. It's the story of what happens when someone finally listens. And everything changes. Ma'am, third time, we need a response. The concierge's tone sharpens, eyes flicking toward the growing line. We tried English, French, and Mandarin, a staff member hisses. She's not responding to any of them. The woman stands perfectly still. Coat buttoned. Hands folded. Expression unreadable. Not rude. Not panicked. But silent. Behind her, an assistant types furiously on his phone, glancing at her, then at staff, then back again. Two translators murmur among themselves, red-faced, helpless. The tension isn't loud, it's tight. She's booked in the presidential suite, someone whispers. And she won't say a word. Not one we understand. Do we call security? She's not being aggressive. But this is holding up check-ins. At the far edge of the lobby, a janitor pauses. He holds a cloth, still mid-wipe. His name badge reads, Barnes, but no one's looked close enough to know that. He doesn't move. Doesn't interrupt. Just watches her face. Something in it isn't confusion. It's control. She's not lost. She's waiting. While everyone else talks over her. One person finally decides to listen. The silence she held wasn't fragile. It was deliberate. She didn't flinch when called uncooperative. Didn't react when translators failed. Didn't move when management was summoned. The assistant stepped forward, whispering frantic apologies. She prefers her native language, for formal matters. The woman didn't nod. She didn't need defense. Behind the reception desk, a woman in heels stepped forward, the kind of authority that clicks when it walks. I'm the general manager, she declared, both hands on the counter. How may we assist you? Miss? Still nothing. The silence held. Stronger than refusal. Sharper than insult. She leaned closer, speaking slower, too slow. This is America. If you want service, speak English. A pause. And then, a breath. One breath. Measured. Controlled. It dropped the temperature more than words ever could. At the edge of the room, the janitor moved. Not fast. Not dramatic. Just enough. He approached, without being invited. No one stopped him. They didn't think he mattered enough to. He reached her side. Offered the smallest bow. And in fluent, unhurried Japanese, asked. Would you care for a cup of tea, Miss Saito? She turned. For the first time. She answered. Words flowed. Not loud. Not fast. But alive. The assistant stared. She's speaking. To him, someone whispered. The manager's eyes narrowed. How do you know Japanese? The janitor didn't answer her. He was still facing the guest. She looked at him like she hadn't looked at anyone else all day. Not with relief. With recognition. He gestured toward the lounge. She nodded. And the two of them walked away. A billionaire and a janitor. Leaving the rest behind, still speaking the wrong language. The man holding the mop once lectured in Kyoto. Taught diplomacy. And wrote his thesis on the power of silence. Now, he just cleaned around people who didn't know how to listen. The two of them entered the side lounge. He didn't ask what kind of tea. She didn't ask what he was doing there. Both already knew enough. He poured, without noise, without rush. A careful motion. A private language. She accepted the cup with both hands. Precise. Intentional. Like she was accepting more than tea. I haven't done this in years, he said softly, still in Japanese. My hands remembered faster than I expected. She replied, not with praise, but a single word. Memory. The manager remained outside. Her words, sharp earlier, now dull from the other side of the glass. She was already rewriting the narrative in her head. Outburst. Misunderstanding. De-escalation. But inside, nothing was being de-escalated. It was being defined. Quietly. Properly. You speak fluently, she said. You listened before speaking. Unusual. He didn't deflect. Your silence wasn't confusion. It was choice. She studied him. You were trained. Kyoto University. He nodded once. 7 years. Linguistics and East Asian silence dynamics. She raised an eyebrow. You're a janitor. I'm a father, he corrected. A widower. A former lecturer. And yes, now, a janitor. She looked at the steam rising from the cup. Then back at him. You stepped in when I was being reduced. He didn't look away. I've lived through that reduction. She leaned forward. They're going to punish you. I know. Because you spoke my language. No. He paused. Because I didn't wait for permission. Gasps whispered. Cameras clicked. But no one spoke. She stepped back. Elliot walked to the mic. No script. No tie. No apology. My name is Elliot Barnes, he said. I mop floors. Quiet. Then he continued. Yesterday, I didn't offer a statement. I offered tea. Not to impress, but to acknowledge. He turned toward Reina. I didn't speak because I'm brave. I spoke because I recognized something in her silence. A silence I've lived with. He paused. Then stepped back. Reina returned to the mic. Voice calm. Steady. But carrying weight. He didn't speak my language to gain praise. He spoke it so I wouldn't feel alone. She pulled a folded paper from her coat. A few nights ago, I read this. It wasn't meant for a stage. But it carries more honesty than anything I've ever published. She unfolded it. Charlotte. One day you'll be old enough to ask not just what I did, but why. Sometimes doing the right thing makes the wrong people angry. We don't need the world's permission to be decent. We just need the will. You once told me I smell like lemon and kindness. I hope I always do. Love, Dad. Her voice softened. She's lucky to have you. Elliot nodded. I'm the lucky one. A woman with no words. A man with no stage. A girl with no voice. All finally heard. By saying almost nothing. Later that evening. They sat in a quiet room not built for cameras. No suits. No expectations. Just 3 people, a low table. And a silence that didn't threaten to break. Charlotte sat between them. Her fingers held a brush. Blank canvas. One stroke. Yellow. Who's that? Reina asked softly. Charlotte pointed. Him. Elliot smiled. Why yellow? Because warm, she said. Even when people look cold. Another stroke. Brown. Who's that? Elliot asked. You. Charlotte looked up. You keep everything standing. Reina blinked slowly. And you? The girl paused. Then dipped into red. Painted a heart in the center. I'm here. The part that makes it whole. No one spoke. They didn't need to. Later, Charlotte pulled a chain from her pocket. Half of a pendant. Cracked. Faded. She gave it to me before she. Her voice drifted. Elliot stared at it, breath stilled. Raina reached into her coat. Opened a tiny case. The other half. Click. The two pieces reunited with a quiet finality. It didn't shine. It settled. Like it knew it had waited long enough. Charlotte looked at Raina. You were crying, she said. Raina froze. You were holding this. You miss her too. Raina nodded. She taught me how to speak without fear. And how to be silent without shame. Charlotte tilted her head. Can you stay? Raina's voice cracked. If you let me. The girl didn't answer with words. She reached out. And held both their hands. She wasn't asking if Raina belonged. She was saying she already did. The auditorium was full. Name tags. Press kits. High heels. The kind of event where every word is approved twice. Her team waited backstage. Notes in hand. Slides ready. But Raina held none of it. Instead, she walked out alone. No smile. No opening joke. Just truth pressed beneath her ribs. I was supposed to speak about growth strategy, she began. And how to build teams that scale. She paused. Eyes moving across the crowd. But I'm going to talk about something smaller. Quieter. Something that doesn't trend well. A few murmurs. A shifting of seats. I'm going to talk about what happens. When the people you overlook become the only ones who see you. In the back row, Elliot sat with his hands folded. Unmoving. Unblinking. She was never loud, Raina continued. Not my teacher. Not her daughter. Not the janitor who remembered both. Gasps moved like static. He didn't come to save me. He didn't lecture, didn't grandstand. He just offered tea. With the exact tone my younger self had once been taught to trust. Raina reached into her pocket. Unfolded a drawing. A yellow sun. A brown tree. A red heart. She said I'm the root. He's the warmth. And she is the part that makes it whole. No one clapped. Not yet. They were holding their breath. I've spent years building systems that work. Efficient. Profitable. But not always kind. She turned slightly, speaking softer now. The girl who once sat in a language class. Finally found her sentence. She asked me if I would stay. And I said. She choked, but finished. Only if she let me. A leader went off script. Not to make headlines. But to become human again. Later that day. No cameras followed them. No headlines trailed them. Just a kitchen table. A cooling cup. And Charlotte painting a new canvas. Elliot sat across from her, peeling a sticker off a mug. Not talking. Just staying. Raina entered, barefoot. No blazer. No guard. Just her. Charlotte looked up. Want to help me finish it? Raina sat beside her. What's missing? The middle, Charlotte said. That's the part people skip. She dipped her brush. Added one final line. A bridge between the heart, the tree, and the sun. This part, she whispered, is where everything connects. That evening, they opened a small package. A book. Illustrated. Hand-bound. No publisher logo. The Girl Who Drew Silence. By Charlotte Whitaker. Illustrations by Ray. Inside, one sentence was written in crayon. She never shouted. But her love was loud enough. Letters arrived. Not from investors. From mothers. Sons. Teachers. From people who finally felt heard. One note read. My son doesn't speak at school. I read your book. Now I sit beside him, quietly. And he's begun to draw again. In the backyard, the three of them sat under string lights. No speeches. No branding. Just hands wrapped around Coco. Charlotte asked. Do you think Mommy sees us? Elliot smiled. She always did. Raina reached for the locket Charlotte wore. The flowers remembered. Charlotte nodded. Then maybe I'm not quiet anymore. Maybe I'm just listening better. Elliot looked at her. You taught us all how. She set down her cup. I'm going to draw a family next. Not the one people see. The one that feels real. It wasn't the moment that changed them. It was everything after. When the world stopped watching. But they kept choosing each other anyway.